Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching. This is the Goat Movie Podcast. My name is Angel.
I'm Julius.
This is a show where we love talking about movies, television, comics, pop culture, and anything that we're passionate about talking about. On this episode, we have a very special guest, Emmy Award winner, head writer, executive producer of Marvel's What If. I cannot believe it. AC Bradley is on the show today. AC Bradley, how are you?
Hey guys, how you doing? What's going on?
Good.
We are doing amazing. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. As a fan, I can speak for Julius and I. As fans, we are just so happy to speak with you as fans from 2008, starting off with Iron Man, and now watching Marvel's What If. We are in the multiverse of madness. This is insane. You are a beautiful writer. The way you deconstruct these heroes, the way that you find the humanity within them all is so remarkable. We are in awe. We need you to write more Marvel movies. We need you to write Tom Holland's Spider-Man college trilogy. We need you to write Marvel Zombies. We need you to write Star Wars. We need you to write DC. We love you. So thank you so much for joining us. Julius, what do you love about this writer?
I
I'm
think I should
just
hire
glad
you guys to be my agent. Jeez.
Let's do it. I'm just glad that you gave us Uncle Ben in the MCU. Thank you for that.
Oh, honestly, I think that was only like a 5-minute conversation.
Okay.
It was in this, I believe it was already in the draft Matt Chauncey wrote, and we were sitting around for executive, and we're like, can we say Uncle Ben? And it was kind of like, I think so. Let's just, let's throw it out there and see how far it goes, because sometimes you'll throw in allusions to stuff that they ask you to pull out, or you'll accidentally walk into things, and that survived.
Well, thank goodness, because I've been waiting for the name drop, and
I
it was here.
know.
So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, that was a beautiful moment. And I think the writing itself in Marvel Zombies episode was a testament to your work because any actor could have filled in that role, I believe. I thought the words of Spider-Man were powerful. I really love that line where he says, if you don't smile when they can't, then you might as well be gone too. So you got to always keep trying. So whether Josh Keaton was in the role, whether Yuri was in it, whether Tom Holland was in it, I thought the writing was really a standout for that. So thank you so much. And thank you for giving us Marvel Zombies because it was the first comic book I ever read. It was so exciting. But
a lot
enough.
of credit also has to go to Matt Chauncey, who's the other writer on the show.
Yes.
He spearheaded Marvel Zombies. We worked by breaking the story together, and he wrote the first draft of it. And it was I remember reading the very first draft and being like, this is great. Like, this is so much fun. The deaths were more gruesome.
Oh, man, I can only imagine.
I bet. We were actually surprised that you gave us, or that your team gave us that moment with Black Panther and without his limbs. What was that conversation like?
We did have a conversation about that because we were looking at it as like, there's a white couple basically literally feasting off
right.
a man of color. But it's in the comic, and it's such a big part of the comic. And we also have Scott Lang's head in a jar. And we kind of came down to the rationale of this is literally a zombie apocalypse. Losing a leg, you're actually kind of getting away easy.
Yeah.
Most people died gruesomely. I remember, like, in the first draft, Sharon Carter's death was, I think the line was, zombie Cap bites the lips off of her and spits them out. And I read it, and I Matt, and I read it aloud to him, like, dude, and he was turned to me, stone cold, and he went, no one likes her, Ashley. He belongs with Peggy. I was like, yes, but Emily Vandekamp is actually a very lovely human being and such a sweetheart. I was like, we're gonna have to tone that death down a little bit.
Well, it's funny that you brought up Cap specifically, because I was getting Ultimates vibes with the way that the shield was used, especially when he's chopped in half. I'm sure you read the Ultimates, but Cap in that is definitely more of like a drill instructor, in that. And the way that the shield is used is like, wow.
Yeah, we kind of played around with where we wanted the characters to come from. The nice part of it being a multiverse and anthology series, the artists, especially the storyboard artists, could kind of have some liberty of like how they didn't have to be uniform with all the characters across all episodes, like you usually are, obviously. And so people would have fun and be like, hey, can we try this out? Can we try this stunt? I have this idea for a bit of an action sequence. And that was really lovely. The collaboration with the storyboard artists is always a lot of fun because they're also, like, everyone inside, I was gonna say inside the Marvel building, which we're all scattered still, is a huge fan of the universe.
Yeah, and
There's
we can tell watching the show. It's a brilliant
Mhm.
show. Congrats on the show. We loved episode 4 with Doctor Strange. We
Oh,
loved
thanks.
Marvel Zombies. We loved Fury's Big Week. You know, Hank Pym.
It's
That was iconic. So congrats on that because it
Thanks.
really is amazing. We see the result of it. I want to ask you for your first question. In episode 4 of Doctor Strange, we learned that Christine Palmer was the absolute point. Her death was the absolute point that led Doctor Strange to be the Sorcerer Supreme. If AC Bradley had the time stone and she could revisit an absolute point in her life that led her to where she is today, what moment would that be and what would you tell yourself?
Honestly, that script came from a pretty personal place. I lost a family member when I was 20 years old. He was
Oh,
my older
sorry.
cousin, and he was one of my best friends, and he was probably one of the first people to tell me to go be a writer.
Wow.
And so while writing that script, that was what it was about, was I would love to go back and save him, which I obviously can't. And as you get older, you come to an understanding that it only hurts because you love them, and it
Yeah.
only hurts because they meant the world to you. And to wallow in the grief doesn't help anyone. You have
Yeah.
to move forward. So I took, those emotions, which are I've dealt with a lot. It's been quite a few years,
Right.
and I was able to put them into that script, and it meant the world to me to be able to explore that part of my past.
Yeah.
And that's what grief is. It's just an understanding that we actually can't stop time. We can't go back,
Yeah.
but we can make peace with it and move forward in a way where we don't let the grief burden us, but instead, I always say like grief at the start is always like carrying around a boulder, but
Right.
over time it makes it smooth and polished like a pebble, and then it's just a stone in your pocket.
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Thank you for sharing your strength with us. And I think it's so amazing that you can honor him through your writing, especially through the Marvel universe. That is so inspiring.
He would have
Um,
cracked up. He passed away before the Marvel Universe was the Marvel Universe, so this would have been hysterical for him. The fact that these movies are so big and so huge and that I'm actually writing them would probably he'd get a
yeah.
good laugh out of it, especially the
Well,
stuff I wrote when I was younger.
yeah.
Like, "Huh?
Well, I also want to let you know fans have reached out to us and they've mentioned to us that episodes have saved their lives. So I just want to let you know
Aw,
that your writing really is impacting people across the globe. So bravo.
thank you very much."
Yeah, well, I appreciate your writing as well, and you are an Emmy winner, so that's goals right there. As an Emmy winner, is there one episode of what we've seen? Because I don't want you. I know
Mhm.
you don't want to spoil
I
anything, but
can't.
of what, yeah, of what we've seen, is there an episode that you would be especially proud if it was nominated for anything?
Um, I think I think the Doctor Strange episode might be the one we submit for hopefully award season if that's the thing we end up doing. Uh, you kinda can't write anything thinking you're gonna win an award.
Right.
We won, I went on Troll Hunters,
Hmm.
and that was kind of like you were just kinda like, "Oh, I didn't realize when I was writing that was gonna go somewhere." You didn't realize hold on, let me backtrack that. When you're writing animation, you're writing so far into the future that you can't think 4 years down the line. That
Right.
Doctor Strange episode I wrote in February of 2019?
Mm,
Yeah.
Wow.
wow.
Yeah, I think I should have called it a nexus point instead of an absolute point, but we were ri I w w the Loki scripts weren't even written yet.
Yeah.
So that animatic locked before Loki even finished their scripts, because you're always writing about 2 years ahead in animation. It's kind of intense and insane. So with, like, Troll Hunters, I was writing that in coffee shops, and then, like, 2.5 years later, they're like, "Here's your statue," and you're like, "Oh, okay." Um, cool, thank you very much. I did not by now, I'm like, "You're on your next show." Um, but it's always nice to have people like, it's just a nice symbol of, like, people actually liked your work and enjoyed it, and there's nothing better than feeling that feeling.
Well, I'm just imagining Kang on the other side with a dictionary of like, okay, that's Nexus, that's absolute. All right, cool.
I know.
That's
It's
canon.
Yeah, and I'm glad honestly that it is absolute point because it just showcases that you made this your own even before all these talks or something like that. And it's really fun to see you play with this sandbox here, all these Marvel toys. It's so exciting. So for my next question for you, what if AC Bradley in the foreseeable future had the opportunity to write for the Fantastic Four and the X-Men? What's an X-Men or Fantastic Four character you would love to write if you had the chance?
Well, they already have someone writing this, so I'm not doing it. I'm not saying anything that's going to get me taken aside by Marvel security. I love Secret Invasion. That was one of my favorite comic runs. I love the Skrulls and Secret Invasion. It's my favorite thing in the world. I just love this notion of who are you if you're pretending to be someone else?
Right.
And who are you if someone is pretending to be you? I always wanted to do a story where one of the heroes found out that someone was impersonating her, like a Skrull was impersonating her, but doing a better job at it. Would always be like the story I wanted to tell. I have ideas, but I can't. It's always Marvel's a very strange place because you'll say something and you'll think it's a joke, and then someone will take you aside and give you a lecture about how you just leaked something by accident. I'm like,
Yeah.
I did
Yeah,
that
no
early
worries.
on. I made a joke about Kang, and then I got taken. Someone was like, "You can't make that joke in this office." I was like, to
Yeah.
anyone. I'm like, "Why, you guys doing Kang?" And they went, "Oh, you guys are doing Kang? Nobody told me that." They're like, "Yeah, it's a secret."
They're gonna send Fisk over to your door.
Oh, it is.
Are you the werewolf?
Oh, I always do the joke of them. When anyone asks me my favorite Avenger, I'd always say Luke Skywalker. And then and I'd always say I want to work with Chris Pine. I was like most excited to work with Chris Pine.
Oh
And I
my
get that look of
goodness.
like, you do realize he's not. I'm like, yeah, I know
Yeah.
who he is.
Oh my goodness, it'd be so epic though, because I know you've been wanting to write, for Luke Skywalker and Star Wars and pair them up with the Marvel Universe. Imagine
Oh,
Chris Pine voicing Luke Skywalker if Mark Hamill doesn't come back. That
or
would be epic.
just Chris Pine doing anything. You can come over and just have coffee. I'm happy.
Those blue eyes. It's those blue eyes, AC. It's those blue eyes.
Well, I noticed that so far in the show, the Watcher has been specifically called just the Watcher and not Uatu. Is that a creative decision, or was there talks before? We're not so sure.
I'm not fully aware or able to discuss what Marvel might be doing with the character of the Watcher in the future.
Okay.
I like the idea of keeping him the Watcher because the second you name something, you're saying there's more than one.
Okay.
So I was like, I'm just going to refer to him as the Watcher because for right now, in the microcosm of What If, I like the idea that we're just focusing on him and his journey and his interaction with these characters and watching the worlds and how these worlds change him. Instead of going into, does he have a family? Does he go home for Thanksgiving? Is there a Mrs. Uatu? Does he have kids? Does he want kids? Is he not one of those guys who wants kids? Like, I was like, no, let's just focus on the Watcher.
I would watch that.
I know the home life of Uatu, and I was like, let's just focus on this notion of the Watcher and how that ties into our stories and our narrative, of this notion of how these stories across the Marvel universe and storytelling across culture changes us and affects how we view our world. And that was the story, and I wanted to tell through Jeffrey Wright, through the character of the Watcher. And so keeping him just the Watcher helps kind of keep the story focused where it needed to be focused.
And that's a great answer, and I'm so excited to see where the Watcher goes from here on. And Jeffrey Wright is killing it.
He's amazing. He's such a nice guy, and he was so amazing. At one point, he was recording from the set. This is before the pandemic, from the set of Batman, and I was like, I am so jealous. I am so jealous. He even joked because you think your guys' security is bad. He's like, they don't let me take home my script.
Oh, I bet.
Whoa.
Yeah, I bet. I am the Watcher on the Batman set.
Yeah, he was just joking around, but he's a nice guy. He's a very nice guy.
That's so awesome. Well, that's all the time that we have with the special guest, AC Bradley, today. AC, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
It meant the world to us, really. Where can people find you, and what are some of your next adventures?
I'm on Twitter, although I'm not very good at it. I can't figure out how to get verified. Or like my friend was like, "Why don't you have a check mark or more followers?" Like, I don't know how to do it. I'm not good. That's basically where I am on the internet. Next projects is oddly I'm available. Took some time off after I worked on Ms. Marvel for a little while as a consulting producer on that, and I took some time off for maternity leave, and now I'm actually available. So, Lucasfilm, call me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The Lucasfilm. Call her. DC, call her. We need her to keep writing the things that we're passionate about.
Thanks so much, guys.
Of
Take
course.
care.
Thank you, AC.
You too.
Bye.